Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Malabite!
Good morning, Ruben, my friend. Good morning, Rufai. Victoria Tundu MKO Abiola, good morning.
Yeah, she has been standing in.
You must have been missing that.
Very loyal, Victoria.
We missed you. We missed
Well, let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of records. The lead story, again, Buhari pleads for peace, assures victim of EndSARS protest of justice. Warns looting will erode confidence of foreign investors. Coordinated attacks targeted at weakening Southwest economy, says governors. Ministers, Abiola, Lagos needs 1 trillion naira to rebuild damaged infrastructure. Now, if you look at the back page of this day, some unusual intervention on the back page of this day. Now, the first story there, Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, a time for heroes. Of course, weighing in the situation in Nigeria. And the first statement he reads, the deliberate shooting of unarmed protesters in Lagos and other parts of Nigeria last week was an outrage. That's the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby. But below his own piece is that of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yes, the Asiwaju of Lagos, and he said he is still the Jagaban, putting his own side of the story there for everybody to see. Somehow striking the right notes, he seemed to know his traducers, and he wants us to make a distinction between what the genuine protesters wanted and they should not be blamed for this destruction. The peaceful protesters, Tinubu is saying, should not be blamed for this. Of course, he's talking about the anomaly of those who are paid to protect the people, brutalizing them. I'm sure he's trying to at least pacify the atmosphere, striking the right notes, but whether he has done so adequately is another matter altogether, because it's like he's aware. Some people are bent on roping him in to the present situation in the country, and he says, I don't see how this will benefit me if people are saying I'm behind some of what has just happened. How is this going to benefit me, he's asking. But let us look at what other newspapers are reporting. The Daily Sun newspaper, military arrests 123 for looting public property. This Daily Sun newspaper of Nigeria. The Nigerian Tribune, Lagos attacks meant to weaken Southwest economy. That's the governors of the Southwest who met in Lagos yesterday making that statement. Wonder at ease of arson, despite proximity of security agencies in affected areas. Disregard threat of violence, Akeredolu tells Igbo. Those killed must get justice, Abiola. Now, the Punch newspaper, police go after looters. 483 arrested in Lagos, Plateau, Anambra, others. We will fish out looters. Lagos, Osun, Akwa Ibom Police Command vow. 14 killed during looting in Kogi, Adamawa, Taraba, palliative warehouses. Palliative in warehouses, evidence Buhari is not our problem. The daughter of the president defending her father, and this time she seemed to have some good reasons to defend her father. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, federal government never asked governors to wait for approval. Officials, that's in connection with palliative distribution. They hoarded relief materials. My father vindicated Buhari's daughter. We handed over items to states since COVID, that's the coalition against COVID-19. President condemns looting as plunder continues. Of course, there is some graphics there about the looting of warehouses that took place across the country. Lagos, Kwara, Ondo, Osun, Abuja, FCT, Anambra, Cross River, Edo, Kaduna, Plateau, Taraba, Abuja, yes, and Adamawa, and Osun. All these places, warehouses, supposedly housing COVID-19 palliatives, were attacked by the people who felt these items belong to them. Looting, burning, violence, no, you may say. Now, the Daily Independence, killed protesters at Lekki will get justice, Buhari assures. Now, this statement, Ruben, you are an alumnus of Aso Villa. Why was this statement not included in the president's speech? Now, this statement signed by Garba Shehu saying NSAS protests, killed protesters will get justice, Buhari assures. I'm sure if that was part of the president's speech, many Nigerians will not be criticizing the speech as empty. Now, the foreign newspapers, we just look at the Guardian of UK. Johnson facing revolt as Tories demand U-turn on school meals. Of course, there is anger among MPs over what they consider as a political disaster of rejecting the campaign, the plea by football star Rashford, who is urging the government to feed children at home during holidays. But Boris Johnson is having none of that. Of course, that is turning many members of his party against him. Labour ready to pounce with Labour leader Keir Starmer pledging to force a fresh Commons vote before Christmas if Boris Johnson does not change his mind. Now, the Washington Post in the US, White House is again afflicted with coronavirus. 5 in Pence orbit have virus. Yes, 5 aides, advisors of my Pence, the vice president, afflicted by coronavirus, yet the vice president has refused to isolate, self-isolate, is hopping around campaigning like his boss, Donald Trump. Ruben, I took exception to the fact you were trying to say Donald Trump is behaving like African leaders. No, African leaders are even better. President Donald Trump is behaving like Trump, not like African leaders.
He's like an African potentate. The truth is painful, but we have to say he's like Mobutu Sese Seko.
Oh my God!
In many ways, think about it. Can you see it? Can you see him with like a leopard?
Yeah, like a leopard
hat?
skin.
You can see it. You can visualize it. But I just want to say that there were some Tories, starting with your story from The Guardian, there were some Tories that did vote with Labour. But those who didn't, this is the power of the people, those who didn't have heard from their constituents, and their constituents have attacked them for such a callous stance. It's such a drop in the ocean compared to the entire budget. This could have been provided for vulnerable children in the UK. So this is the power of the people. Representatives, senators in Nigeria, they should hear from their constituents on issues like this, and we should dictate to them how to vote. It's so important. This is a U-turn on their part.
And a big deal for this, because let's go back to how all of this started. I'm talking about the Rashford story. Young footballer said, oh, it was difficult for me to eat when I was a child, no school meals. And the first thing he does, he writes a letter to the MPs and say, please ensure you provide this. And at some point, they did all their politics, they reneged on it, but he never stopped. And everybody fell on the bandwagon. And today, companies, all sorts of people in the UK are putting out food out there for people to be able to eat. It shows the capacity and the power of just one man. And I quickly want to link that to what you saw on the front page of The Guardian, to Lewis Hamilton breaking that record, Michael Schumacher's record, having 92 wins. Before that race, he had a hashtag NSAS shirt on. You can see him there with Black Lives Matter too. So that's to show you what these great people are doing. But concerning Trump, I am not surprised really. And I want to toe the line of Tunde, you know, seeing that hat on him. Trump looks like a guy to me that he would not just want you to call him Mobutu Sese Seko. He'll want you to call him Mobutu Sese Seko Kukungenu Wazabanga. That's the kind of person Trump's look like to me. And you can see how deplorable his leadership has been in all of this. And it's a time for all Americans to wake up and make him really pay for all he has done to their country. And real quickly,
democracy. So let's leave Africa out of his problem.
I'm coming back to Nigeria. Two great back page insights. I'll talk a little bit about Justin Welby. Justin Welby is not just, you know, the Archbishop of Canterbury. Justin Welby worked in ELF at a point. They had a lot of dealing with West Africa, so he knows the territory also well. Justin Welby, too, is also a member of the House of Lords. He's got a peerage because he's the Archbishop of Canterbury Cathedral. So when he says that and he shows his concerns concerning Nigeria, these are things we should listen to very critically. I mean, look at the mammoth destruction everywhere. We can't afford for this to continue. The police are saying, you know, to repair barracks and everything, damage in Lagos alone, 10 billion. 10 billion naira. What if you had added that money to the salaries of police officers that the campaign was all about in the first place? A lot of them will get a pay raise, really. So that shows you that this has gone out of hand. We must do everything possible to ensure that peace is restored, and we need to start growing our very fragile economy. Before COVID-19, the economy was in shambles. You know, it was just, you know, trying to pick up from many factors that held it down. COVID-19 came, put the economy at a very, you know, precarious situation. Now with all of this, it's a setback, and we need to build our economies. And that's why you see the revolt of the street. That's why you see the revolt as regards the palliative that would have cushioned the sufferings of a lot of people. Now the federal government is coming out openly to say that we didn't say you need to get permission for us. You should have shared this palliative. So it speaks volumes. You know, everybody all came out here and talked against Mem Farouk, the minister, saying she didn't do anything. But it was obvious that this was sent around and people didn't just share it. That's not to justify the looting, but when you look at it, to a large extent, it hurts. Take, for instance, the person that was saying I was waiting for my birthday before I share it. Was this supposed to be your birthday gift? Was this supposed to be your birthday gift?
I would like to come here, and I would like to start with Trump. Trump, President of the United States, is not very popular around here. I don't think anybody here is fine, even if we don't have a vote in the matter. But it's important to also note, curiously, something happened over the weekend. A church in Onitsha, a church led by a certain gentleman called Daddy Ezekiah, went onto the streets campaigning for Donald Trump, saying Donald Trump 4+4. Which is a Nigerian slogan. And I was very curious how the re-election of President Donald Trump in the United States is important to the people of Onitsha or the congregation of Daddy Ezekiah. They went onto the streets and they were campaigning that, Donald Trump must get another 4 years. So when we say that he seems to be an African president, there is a contest for that, As for Daddy Ezekiah and his campaigners, well, I'm not too sure any one of them has a voting card or any opportunity to vote or have a say in the American election. Now, let's go to the back page of this day, which is very interesting. Justin Welby, Archbishop of Canterbury, yes, has an interesting article, A Time for Heroes. And he made a number of very cogent points. He's saying that the heroes that will save Nigeria are Nigerians. And that Nigeria does not need to look up to outsiders because there is enough heroism in the country. And he talked about Nigerians working to save their own country. And the best way to do that is to be progressive, to focus on first principles. And I think that these are not arguments that anybody can controvert. If I may quote him, in one instance, he says, the heroic leader is like the good shepherd. Do we have a good shepherd in Nigeria? Do we have good shepherds in Nigeria? And he says the heroic leader sees the long-term vision and always aims for it. Do we have long-term vision, or we are still working on it, Agenda 2050? And he says Nigeria should seize the moment because the rest of the world is watching. And this is a country that has heroes. But unfortunately, it seems to me that, yes, there's no lack of heroism in Nigeria, but there's a lack of patriotism. We're a country in search of patriots, in search of citizens. In 1978, Professor John Pepper Clark Bekederemo, who died recently, delivered his inaugural lecture at the University of Lagos. He titled it, "The Hero as Villain." The heroes we have in Nigeria, unfortunately, are villains. And that is why we have the tragic dimension of community togetherness that we have witnessed in recent times. I hope that our heroes will become patriots and citizens. And that's the only way the country can move forward. So Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, has a point that speaks to us. Now, the other article on the back page is the article by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in which he talks about fundamental lesson in democratic governance. Two parts to that article. At one level, he tries to defend himself, the same manner in which he did so when he visited the governor of Lagos State over the weekend. And he made the point that there is no way that he could have ordered soldiers to come and attack young people in Lagos at the Lekki Toll Gate Plaza. And in the first place, he does not have any interest in that Lekki Toll Gate Plaza. And that again, why will he order soldiers to go and attack people at the Toll Gate Plaza when his own business interests in which he has, investment, the Nation and the TVC, TV Continental, he did not make any effort to protect them or send soldiers to the place. So his main argument at the personal level is that, one, this is a case of political victimization by those who oppose him. He also says that he's being targeted by persons who may not like his politics. First, he was accused of being the person who sponsored the protest. Second, he says he was accused of now sending soldiers. And that clearly is contradictory. And then, of course, he used a better part of the essay to talk about progressive politics, which, in his view, he has always defended from the June 12 struggle, at the point at which he came into public reckoning, and how he has remained consistent in terms of promoting progressive politics. Then, of course, he talks about his commitment to Lagos as a state and how he has helped to contribute to the development of Lagos State. You will recall, of course, that, in my view, the purpose of that essay is to say, yes, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been the target. He has been the scapegoat. In fact, he used that word, scapegoat, that he has been scapegoated. But that he's not the scapegoat. He's committed to the progress of Lagos. He's committed to democracy. And he condemned, in particular, the use of excessive force against innocent citizens who were just protesting, who were expressing their views. And he said that the use of excessive force against innocent protesters is unacceptable because it's a constitutional right to protest. Now, what is the politics of it? We have seen Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the last 2-3 days coming out to speak up for himself. After it was said that he had taken the Nadeko route a second time to escape, he said no, he did not escape anywhere. He's the Asiwaju of Lagos, he's the Jagaban of Nigerian politics, and that even his son, Sheyi Tinubu, did not go anywhere. I think from the point of view of strategy, he has done well to explain himself, and it is good that he's not arrogant about it. He understands the fact that being at the center of the storm, he owes the people of Nigeria and the people of Lagos an explanation. The only caveat here is that, yes, it's not enough to go and visit the governor and grant interviews to Arise News and other channels, or write an essay on the back page of This Day. We hope that the Asiwaju, the Jagaban, the former governor, the senator, we also try to learn a few lessons from what has happened. Why was he targeted? Why is his name being thrown up? After all, in a part of Lagos, Ijora Kingdom, the Lufemiloye of Ijora Kingdom, some youths tried to attack his house, but the youths within the community and the elders within the community, they protected his palace. Ilufemiloye has released a video now of Ijora Kingdom where he went out and he was thanking members of the community. And this was the same point that was made by Erelu of Lagos on this same program on Saturday, when she said that, look, the leaders of Lagos must also engage in soul searching. How are they leading the people? What example are they showing? That, for me, is a big takeaway and a big, footnote to the essay that you referred to by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the back page of this day today.
Okay.
Yeah, but we need to see more humility. You were saying he was humble about it, but when I saw that video, I am the Jagaban. You know, there wasn't air of humility. I thought with what has just happened, his first appearance should be a sober one. But personally, I did not see that, Ruben. I did not see that. Maybe in this write-up...
it's in the essay.
Yes, in this essay, there seemed to be some of that, but his first appearance on TV, I am the Jagaban, as if no matter what happens, I am doing what I have to do. I think that first appearance was bad PR.
You know what they say, Mr. Feni, that a picture is worth 1,000 words. An essay is just words, and you can make a lot of inferences from what you saw on television there. But I think what is cogent here is how we can build a peace, how we can build those businesses back, and how. I don't know. I know that there's a certain bank this morning that has started giving 50 billion interest-free loans, to businesses. How we can ensure that a couple of these businesses that might have lost things, small businesses, get loans to get them back on there. Because that's the engine room of any economy in the world, small businesses. They're the greatest employer of labor, and a lot of them have been touched. Somebody called me over the weekend, was saying, I didn't even know the bank, kept on shouting, I just collected money from Lapo, and now the money is gone. What can I do? And the person was crying, wailing on the phone. So businesses like that, too, should be helped.
Devastating, which is why I don't understand, as you were saying, Mr. Feni, what the point of mentioning one's traditional titles are at a time like this, and that ill-timed little cackle. What was that laughter in aid of?
But
I don't understand it.
I think we should deal with the big issues. The fact that the Asiwaju was trying to explain his personal circumstances, and he also made effort to defend the right of the people to protest. He also made efforts also to defend the federal government. You can't disagree with that, because he was saying that the federal government has been responsive in terms of how it handled the matter. He was also saying that the Lagos State governor has done very well. Now, people can disagree at that level. But, politicians, they like to use every opportunity to project themselves. Are we arguing that it's not the Asiwaju of Lagos? Are we arguing that it's not the Jagaban of Bogu? So if in a moment of, excitement, a man says, this is who I am. Don't forget, from the point of view of strategy, a man had been scapegoated, attacks had been made on his businesses and investments. Coming out, writing an essay, is a way of saying, well, what is that phrase by Baba Obasanjo?
Ade Kankpe.
So I guess Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was just saying, Ade Kankpe, no shaking.
There is time to say Ade Kankpe, and there is time not to say it, clearly. That couldn't have been the time to say Ade Kankpe. That's what the point I'm making. Okay. And I think some lessons should be learned from there. A lot have happened, and I must not fail to sympathize with our colleagues who were attacked when TVC and the Nation newspaper and other media organizations relating close to the government, owned by government of Lagos State, were attacked because they could have lost their lives. But thank God they all escaped with their lives, because when you see the video of the mob approaching those media organizations, fire, escalating violence, and I was really concerned about the lives of our colleagues. But thankfully, they all came out unscathed with their lives. Properties destroyed, some had their personal cars burnt, but when you are alive, you can acquire more cars, you can be compensated. And I think we should just pay attention to that. We have colleagues who have also been affected by this wanton destruction that we saw across Lagos and other parts of the country. But one thing I think we should not fail to also mention, those who died. The Punch newspaper, if we can just roll back the Punch newspaper, there's a story there I think we should just look at. Friends prevented soldiers from going away with my son's body in Lekki. The story of a grieving mother. Because some have been asking, show us evidence, show us evidence. But this story, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, the story of a grieving mother who lost her son. And according to her, but for the friends of this son who pulled the body away, soldiers will have made away with the body. That story is on the front page of the Punch. So when President Buhari said, according to Garba Shehu, that killers of persons, peaceful protesters at Lekki toll gate will be brought to justice, I hope the government will pursue that very well. Because if it does not happen today, someday another administration will get to the roots of that matter. If persons died and they were taken away, going by this story,
we will be leaving very soon, but I should reiterate this. The investigative panel for, what happened in Lekki starts today at the Lagos Arbitration Court in Lekki area of Lagos. So people that have depositions and things like that should use that route. It's really very important. It starts today.
Yeah. Emmanuel Fene, I would have loved to ask you what your reaction is to the spate of lootings across the country, but we don't have any more time. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. Maybe tomorrow morning we'll get a chance to look at that again.